Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you guys sitting in on a ZeroStack introduction. I'm going to keep this extremely high level, but I want to keep it extremely interactive. So if you do have questions, please let me know. I will probably repeat your questions because we do have some folks on the online view of this. So if I repeat your question and I get it wrong, please correct me, okay? So I'm going to give you a quick overview of ZeroStack and what the philosophy is before I go into the 74 slides of technical overview. Yeah, I got you. No, I'm just kidding. There's like 6 slides. So ZeroStack is out to solve an interesting problem. And the problem is, what do I do with a strategy for cloud? Do I have a strategy? Do I need a strategy? What should my goals be? And how can I quickly enable business value around these things? The goal of the solution is to give you options. And I know that sounds very, very strange from a vendor, right? I want you to be able to move in and out of my solution if that's the best thing for your business. Really weird strategy, I know. But we've changed the architecture of our solution to enable those things so that you can deliver business need where the business needs it and what makes the most sense. So with that said, let's go into what is a cloud managed data center. We'll start at the bottom and then work our way up on this solution. So on-premise, there's an intelligent control plane that's made up of appliances. It can be our appliances, it can be your servers that you bring to the mix. But let's think of them as appliances because we need to get away from thinking of hardware as this many faceted things that we need to manage. It really needs to just be simple. It's an appliance, it delivers what we need it to deliver. Compute, memory, software, storage, whatever. It's an appliance. Appliance lives in your data center. This is where your data lives. But to manage that, we use a SaaS portal. So this allows you to keep your data safe in your data center if you're concerned about that, but take the operation and the complexity and the management of that very, very scale out, high-tuned solution out of your hands. You get back to running your business. Now what that interestingly enough allows us to do is deliver software updates and features with a refresh of your browser instead of going, oh man, I got to take down the whole infrastructure, patch all this stuff up, back it up because it's going to break when I do the new install, and then pray that it worked. Oh, by the way, the business gave you 2 hours to do that. So how are you going to orchestrate and manage all of that? It's no longer possible. So by letting the SaaS portal do that for you, again, oh, I need this new feature, refresh your browser. There it is. Oh, I need to worry about patching. No, I don't. I refreshed my browser. It's done. The portal also gives us the ability to link in and out of a cloud provider. Let's say, we're not sure about this AWS stuff. It may or may not work for us. We're a bit different than the startup that's threw all their stuff from day one out there. Well, ZeroStack will allow you to migrate that workload into AWS. Did it work? How did it go? Didn't work well? All right, let's migrate it back. So we give you simple bidirectional migrations from the cloud providers. Again, we understand that some things may not stay on ZeroStack, and that may be okay. Maybe your dev test is on ZeroStack and your production's in the cloud. Or maybe it's the other way around. Again, with that, we allow you choice. Again, no manual cloud stack management. Proactive support for you. It's developer friendly. By the way, this is just OpenStack. We deliver OpenStack in a manner that you don't need to know anything about OpenStack. You may not even know how to spell it. But we get you to OpenStack seamlessly and easily. Again, freedom of choice. We can also help you with the VMware tax as everybody's starting to talk about it, right? You want to migrate some of your workloads off of VMware? We allow you to do simple one-click migrations into OpenStack. So no more, how do I convert this VMDK to an OpenStack format and, oh, I've got to redo all my golden images. Click, click, done. Simple and easy to use. Any questions so far? Everybody's good with concept? Everybody's full and kind of sleepy? Good? Okay. So, what's that? Oh, smart man had some beer in the library. So let's talk about the on-prem building blocks, right? They can be any enterprise class hardware, HP, Dell, Cisco, Lenovo, our appliances, whatever you want. There's no custom hardware in there. So again, breaking you free from customized hardware. It's a fully symmetric self-healing solution, so you can start with as little as 1 2U chassis and grow up as you need to, right? It's true pay-as-you-grow scenario. Our analytics say, hey, you're running out of memory resources, you should add some more memory resources to the solution. You plug another box in, it assimilates itself into the system, off you go. Simple, easy to use. Again, built on the KVM hypervisor, full software-defined networking suite, full software-defined storage suite. You can also bring in your existing storage vendors to play, right? If you've got a couple of years left on your favorite NetApp EMC box and you can want to continue to utilize it in your environment, absolutely help you guys make that work. So let's talk about what's in the cloud. So this is really what's super important. We've got an app store. So think of this like your iPhone, right? You get to pick an app that you're interested in and you want to consume it, but you may or may not have any idea on how to install it, right? You click it, it shows up, you run it, good to go. We give this same experience for your developers. I like to pick, is there anybody, an Oracle developer in here? Any Oracle developers? Great, I'll pick on them. Oracle, great solution, hard to install, hard to tune, hard to manage. Imagine giving your Oracle team a space to go work in, that you can pre-package an Oracle deployment with an OS that you choose and you know is secure, and they can simple one-click deploy that. Let's take a different one. Let's take Hadoop. Has anybody ever installed Hadoop? How hard was that? Yeah, not fun, right? What if I told you with ZeroStack I can deploy a 1,000-node Hadoop cluster in 4 clicks? Hadoop version, OS version, number of nodes, size of data set required. Done. It's that simple. I know that sounds like a huge vendor promise, but it really does. You take a template and you make things really simple. So there's a lot of open source things that are nice to do that way. Another great thing is the Microsoft stuff. Installing Microsoft SQL, while it's not hard to make sure that it is consistent across your entire enterprise, can be really tricky. With templatizing that in the ZeroStack solution, you can guarantee consistency across your entire infrastructure. If you have regulatory problems or regulatory issues, this can clean that stuff up for you very, very simply. Obviously you're going to get an administrator workspace, as expected, but you can also turn on a self-service portal. So a self-service portal can give access to a developer, and you can completely isolate them in a space so that they can go test their stuff, do their stuff, build their application, and it's as secure as you want it to be. It starts off by default as nothing in, nothing out, and you can grow it from there. Simply to drop in some software-defined rules. Now they have a network space outside. They're good to go. They're moving in and out. They're moving around. Again, you can lock them right back down. One of my favorite features about the admin workspace versus the user space, I can assign secure keys so that I can give users access to OSs by using a secured key instead of username and passwords. So let's think about that for a second. Instead of defining a ton of username and passwords for OSs, I'm handing out keys that I can revoke at any single time. So I can secure multiple thousands of systems with a single certificate, multiple certificates, and invoke and revoke those at any time. Of course, full monitoring, error detection, planning, and again, multi-site management out of the box. Yes, sir? Great question. So the gentleman just asked if the cloud portal is down, does everything run to a halt? No, it does not. You lose the monitoring, the analytics, and our curated app store. So if you have things in your app store that are custom for your environment, you still are up and running. Everything stays running, and we just wait for the cloud connection to come back up, right? Because somebody hits your ISP or somebody cuts your fiber. Everything on premise still runs and operates. Great question, though. So let's talk a little bit more about what an administrator experiences. So the first and foremost is a cloud dashboard. Again, it's a different way of looking at things. We look at things as a resource as a whole. So no matter how many appliances you have underneath, we look at the holistic view of the system. How much CPU do I have left? How much network do I have left? How much storage do I have left? How are things running? Is everything healthy? Is everything in good shape? I'm not looking at individual pieces because those don't matter. It's commodity hardware. It's going to fail. We all know that. So we anticipate failures and deal with them accordingly. Hard drive fails? Great. Replace it when you get to it. No need to run to the data center on a Friday night because the hard drive failed. There's also the ability to turn on or off the self-service portal. And again, that's a quota-based, highly restrictive system that will allow a developer or groups of developers to log in and utilize resources based on quota. The better part of this is if you allow them access to the system, they only see what they're allowed to see. They don't see any of the other tenants on the system. So it's complete tenant isolation. Not, oh, look, I can see there's 3 other tenants over here and he got way more RAM than me. Why did he get more RAM? They have no idea what's going on the rest of the system. They log in and see exactly what they're allowed to see. Again, the cloud administrator gets full monitoring and analytics, right? So these are both real-time, past time, and proactive. Again, so hey, you're going to run out of X in 60 days. You may want to take action. The planning and usage is really, really interesting because it tells you when and what capacity to add, but it also will give you actual VM usage numbers. So if you've allocated 8 vCPUs, for example, to a Windows box, and you look at the task on the VM, it says, oh yeah, it's 100%, it's got all of it. We actually go into the kernel and look at it and see what it's actually using. So if you see a 0.4% utilization, you know that VM is way oversized. So you can help deal with that VMware sprawl because, oh, well, Oracle said I needed 8 vCPUs for this app. I must therefore put, when it really could have done with 2. We also have full placement policy. So this is really important for those folks that deal with my business unit only paid for this, so therefore I have to give them only this. So I can define that Ryan only gets to use SSDs and Lance only gets to use HDDs because that's what Lance paid for. Lance only paid for 50 snapshots, so I'm going to only give him 50 snapshots, and he only paid for those 50 snapshots in data center B, not data center A. So I can get really granular with the controls. I can give people what they paid for and not have to worry about them eating pieces of pie outside of their ring. Make sense? Give you a quick screenshot of the dashboard. So this is logged in as a cloud administrator. It's probably really hard to see for some of you folks in the back. One of the things that we do that's super unique is we also give you what you've allocated. So we tell you what your over allocations are. So it's kind of hard to see on the bottom, but the capacity for the CPU used is 9%, but I've allocated 160%. So I'm running at a 1.6 over commit, fairly conservative, but at least you know what you've over committed to. So I'll give you a quick screenshot here of the business units. So this is where work starts to happen. You create a business unit, you assign users or groups, local or Active Directory or LDAP, however you want to manage that is fine. And you start getting work done underneath these business units. The great thing is if you take a look at this screenshot, there's no need to know anything about OpenStack, right? There's no, oh, well, I need to know how to config this, or I need to know which API to call to get at that. I don't need to know any of that stuff. So it makes it seamless for staff to just start using OpenStack with ZeroStack and be off to the run. Let's talk about the user experience real quick. Again, Z App Store, super important because it's something that we curate for anything that's freely available, right? We curate and monitor those and maintain those applications. But if you have Microsoft stuff or anything licensed or anything you want to take and make customized, you have your own local app store. Again, that lives locally on your system. So if that link goes down, your app store is still up and running. Workspace, these can be shared or isolated. So I can give Ryan his own space and nobody else is allowed in that. Quota him down. Really make sure nothing's getting in and out. Maybe I only allow SSH in, so he can only SSH. Maybe I lock it down even further and say he has to use a VNC terminal to connect into the workload. I really don't trust what he's doing. We need to make sure it's super secure. Maybe it's a new app you just got in and you don't know how it's going to play with the rest of your environment. You can really duplicate that environment, bring it down and monitor it. Again, application portability, planning and usage, even for that local project or that local resource. So again, enabling somebody that is using the space to utilize their space appropriately, giving them the tools to be their own IT staff. And again, since it's OpenStack, APIs are there. You can do CLI. We also give them the handbook to do it so they can grab it if they want to do it. Quick screenshot of the App Store. Again, these are all of the freely available curated apps that we maintain. Again, all open source. You can pull these in, change them, customize them, and then redeploy them, as well as do your own. Very, very simple to do. Quick screenshot of inside a project. So in here we've got 3 different projects going, and we've got various things happening to those projects. I've got measuring total CPU hours, so for chargeback, showback, costing, got that functionality. Show you what your usage against quota is, so that you can quickly see where you're at from that standpoint. And then inside the workspace here, so we can see that this particular one's linked to vCenter. So we're doing some migration off of VMware, pulling some VMs in so we don't have to do recreates, number of VMs, number of software routers, number of volumes, and again, total CPU hours. Let's talk about what's real important, and that's the enterprise class stuff, right? The ability to back up, schedule, snapshots, maintain things, super important, right? High availability. So if you want to mark a VM HA, like in VMware, you can do that. You can do it on a per VM level or multiple VMs, however you'd like to do that. Full AD and LDAP integration, auditing and compliance. So if you do have to provide a compliance report every quarter, we log it. You can pull it, send it to your favorite tool. And then, of course, custom integration. As is, everything is API driven. We give you the certificates and paths to do so. So if there's something that you need to get linked into a monitoring tool or something like that, we're super happy to help you do that. Any questions on that stuff, guys? I see a lot of frowny faces. No? Good? Again, self-healing solution. It's basically a highly symmetrical compute cluster. So everything's looking out for everything, monitoring, everything's in full failover. So there's no single controller node. There's no single neutron networking node. Everything is fully distributed and highly available. Full error detection, both for software and hardware, and we report back out on that. Again, iOS style upgrades. Refresh your screen. Support is very, very proactive. They'll contact you, especially if it's a hardware failure. There's no need to go screaming, running into the data center anymore. And then a built-in support request tool. This is one of my favorite features. If you are on a page and it doesn't make sense to you, like, man, this button just doesn't look right, or I just didn't see it, on every single page there's a contact support button. You click it, you're instantly on with support. Don't have to pick up the phone, don't have to remember, oh, well, what's my service contract number, what's my serial numbers, all that goes away. Super, super easy to use. And guys, that's it. That's the last slide. I wasn't going to hit you with a bunch of slides, especially in the afternoon. You've seen hundreds all day. Is there any questions, anything you'd like me to go deeper into? Nothing? Yes, sir. Sure. So the question is on how backups function and how backup works. So there's several means to tackle this. So you can do a straight volume dump, meaning I want everything in that volume or volumes just dumped straight out to NFS. We can do snap and then throw the snaps out. You can do full schedules, including incrementals. So if you want to do a Monday full and a Sunday full, but every day, rest of the day of the week, you want to do incrementals, absolutely can do so. The only requirement there is an NFS mount point to dump them to.
For restores, do you have granularity to individual files, or would that be the whole system
No, so file level granularity is not there, and that's truly just an OpenStack community problem. We're going to try to tackle that on our own, but that's a pretty expensive engineering effort for very little fruit. What I do recommend is keeping an admin box in the space, just doing a quick snap attach. You can attach the snapshot to that secondary disk, pull the file back, throw it to them. Yeah.
That's not end of the world, I was just curious.
No, it's something that's really, it's just lacking in the OpenStack community as a whole. I mean, we have what I consider a pretty fairly straightforward, easy workaround. And in fact, there's really no backup vendors in the OpenStack space. A lot of the stuff we had to go do ourselves. Luckily enough, we have a huge storage background in our engineering field, and we were able to tackle the really important stuff. But the file level stuff is something we're hoping that an ecosystem grows up around. Yes, sir.
How well does the system scale?
The question is, how well does the system scale? And the nice thing about OpenStack is it was designed to scale from start. I will give you personal recommendations that if you start going into multiple racks, you break things up into different availability zones so that if something does catastrophically happen to a power in a data center, you have some resiliency, but multiple racks is easily obtainable with our 2U chassis, and in that 2U chassis there's 4 servers. So if you do 20 times 4 times multiple racks, you get into multiple nodes. You get into hundreds of nodes very, very quickly. But it's extremely scalable. The nice thing about it is it's scalable when you need it to be. Most of our customers start off with as little as 1 2U appliance and grow into several as their business requires it to do so. The nice thing on the scalability part is the hard part's day one. Day one, setting it up, that whole hour that we're going to spend configuring the system, that's as long as you'll ever have to take. Adding the next system in is simply racking it, stacking it, cabling it up, powering it up, putting a code into the system, and then it assimilates itself. It brings itself online, integrates itself into the cluster, the resources just become available.